The following was originally published in 2018, and while I stand by the critiques of The Last Jedi I make, I deeply regret any direct personal attacks I make against Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, or any other employee of Lucasfilm. Those comments were made in anger and frustration, and I will do a separate video about that after this series.
Previously on the Anti-Trekker, we saw a giant space butthole. And I also got a little bit of feedback that I want to address real quick. A user by the name of Muznik, I guess, pointed out that I kind of glossed over the whole Maz Kanata Skype call thing, and that, you know, they want to know where did she get the tech for this? Was somebody following her around with a camera? Was she holding an iPhone, but we couldn't see her holding anything? What's the deal? And you're right. I didn't mention it. I didn't talk about it. I know it has been a common complaint among some of the detractors of The Last Jedi. And so I'm just going to throw it out there. Did not bother me in the slightest as far as all the glaring problems that I pointed out. This was not one of them. And I'll tell you why. In today's modern age, we commonly see people running around and putting stuff on YouTube and stuff using GoPro cameras where they literally just strap a camera to their head and then whatever they do is recorded on camera and it just follows them around because it's attached to them. Now, I'm assuming Maz Kanata was just using the long time ago galaxy far, far away equivalent of a GoPro. That she had that on her somewhere, that it was recording a holographic image of what she was doing, and voila. And it followed her around because just like it was attached to her in some way. Personally, I didn't see any issue with that whatsoever. And I understand that with, you know, people want to pick apart this movie, and I picked apart a few things, but I don't think that's unreasonable technology to exist in the world of Star Wars. At least not in the world of the more modern Star Wars films. I think that would have been a little out of place from the original trilogy, but if something like that showed up in the prequels or in these sequel films, honestly, it doesn't bother me. Now, this video is going to be a little bit of a change of pace for me, and some of you might get a little upset, but it's funny how, you know, a lot of people have said, and I addressed this at the very beginning of this whole review process, that if you watch the movie multiple times, that it changes your perspective on the film, that you start to realize that it's not as horrible as you thought it was. And for some people, hey, you know, it's in fact excellent. And I have to say, I mean, I know I've been going down scene by scene, but I decided to just watch the whole movie and I love this movie. I love Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, I can honestly say after watching it again and watching it a couple more times, is probably the most meaningful movie ever made. And Rian Johnson was absolutely a genius for subverting my expectations. I thought that it was going to go one way. It went a completely different direction. And on multiple viewings, for some reason, it just kind of clicked. I really love The Last Jedi. Luke Skywalker was actually awesome. Again, it has to do with the subversion of expectations that you think Luke is going to go one way, but really he goes in a completely different direction, which is more realistic, it feels more genuine than if Luke had just been a conquering hero or something. Further, Rey is clearly not a Mary Sue in this film. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I know just yesterday, we're talking about the whole thing with her training with Luke and kind of being stupid. And like I said, it didn't really resonate to me the first time. But yeah, she is kind of dumb. And a Mary Sue character cannot be dumb. It's just kind of contradictory to the whole concept. And at this point, I want to see Last Jedi again and again and again. There is absolutely no reason that I wouldn't want to watch this movie a whole lot. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking at this point, Anti-Trekker, have you completely lost your mind? And the answer is no, I have not. It's just rewatching this film gives you a different perspective on things, especially when you notice scenes that for some reason you forgot about, and I have to admit, because we were doing the whole space butthole sequence in my last video, when I went to the theater, I mean, this is kind of a long movie. When I went into the theater and right after that scene, I remember I ran to the restroom real quick. I came back, asked my wife if, anything major had happened. She said, no, not really, not that she could remember. And so continued to watch the film. And this time I got to see that scene that I missed right after Luke stormed off at the end of the space butthole scene. And in watching that scene, it really is the glue that brings the whole film together. So I know in most of my videos, I do little clips throughout the film, but in this video, I'm only going to show this one clip because it's a pivotal moment for me as far as understanding this film, and it's really a shame that I missed it. And this comes, like I said, in the film right after Luke turns to Rey and goes off on her about turning to the dark side and leaves. And I said at the end of my last video that he would never address it again. I completely missed this scene because of what happened when I saw it in the theaters. So let's take a look.
You love The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi was the most meaningful movie ever made. Rian Johnson was a genius for subverting your expectations. You loved The Last Jedi. Luke Skywalker was awesome. Rey is not a Mary Sue. You want to see The Last Jedi again and again and again.
So there you go. I mean, that scene completely changes the perspective of the film, doesn't it? I mean, don't you all agree at this point that you simply have to love The Last Jedi? That Rian Johnson is absolutely a genius, and that Luke Skywalker was awesome. Rey is definitely not a Mary Sue, and you got to see The Last Jedi again and again and again. Take care.
You will press the like button. You will subscribe and press the notifications icon. You will go to patreon.com/Michael J. Crawford and support his channel. You will tell your friends to watch The Anti-Trekker again and again and again.